All right, wrapping it up on Sportsbook, Betting Insight today. Paulie and Teddy. Follow us on Twitter at Paulie Howard, at Teddy_covers. Deep dive. How are lines created? Power ratings, home field, spot adjustment, matchup adjustment, adjustment for any books, particular clientele. Voila, you got a point spread. That's the theory. Reality is that a handful of books set the lines globally. Everyone else copies and adjusts to their own particular clientele. We saw that, Teddy. We talked about this right when we started doing Sportsbit. There was a college basketball game where Penny had the wrong total. We saw like a 20 point move on a total because the guy was looking at the rotation number wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the concept here, and I want to go right back to that, what you started at the top here. How are lines created? Because what we like to do on Wednesdays in the deep dive, we like to delve into some of the broader topics. We've talked about teasers. We've talked about parlays. We've talked about the differences between recreational bettors and professional bettors. This week we want to talk about the math and the science and the art behind how every line for every game is created. So you said it right from the get-go. Starts with power ratings. Power ratings are simply a numerical assessment of how good every team is in relation to one another. So when you're talking about the NFL, your best power rated team, your best power rated team, your Patriots or so, might be a touchdown better than the average team. And your weakest team, the Browns, might be a touchdown weaker than the average team. And everyone else is factored somewhere in between there. And then you look at the home fields. Standard home field in sports is about 2.5 or 3 points, depending on the sports. I tend to go a little bit less. You make adjustments for spots, minor adjustments. If a team is coming off a huge win, or if a team is, the NFL sandwich spot, where they have a divisional opponent and then a non-conference foe and then a divisional opponent. That's a spot adjustment. You might see the line notched down a little bit. A matchup adjustment. If one team has specific matchup edges against the opponent's weak on the defensive line and the one team strong on the offensive line, you might see a minor adjustment there. But the bottom line is it's mostly hard numbers. It's mostly the power rating numbers and then the adjustments. You talked about the differences between a Bovada compared to a penny. Each book is going to adjust to their own particular clientele. And there's only a handful of books across the globe that set lines for American sports, baseball, football, basketball. It's a handful of books. Everyone else copies those books' numbers and adjusts them to fit their own particular clientele.
How about when they first open it up that they're worried about you're going to get professional money right off the bat and you don't know if they're just moving the line to where they want it or they actually like that. You're probably not going to know what the syndicate's like till right before kick.
Well, yeah, that's the irony, is that the initial moves the market does. I mean, let's start with this. How do the books do it? All right. And it starts with consultants. They've got consultants in every major industry, and sports betting is no different. So you might have your NFL guys. Person A might say the line for here should be -3, and the next guy would say it's -4, and person C would say it's -2.5, and D would say -2, and the head odds maker, the head lines maker, is going to get those different sets of numbers from the consultants, different guys for different sports, and he's going to make his call as to where the numbers are going to open. And then the lines are open to the betting public. And you say you worry about the wise guys coming in and pounding the numbers. That's why they set these numbers. They want the wise guys to come in and bet them because it's lower limits at first. The bookmakers are very quick to react off the opening numbers. And of course, remember, guys who are betting openers and groups that are betting openers, these are not recreational players. These are professionals and syndicates. It does leave the books vulnerable to quote-unquote setup moves because you're not going to know who they like necessarily until 5 minutes before kickoff. But what's going to happen with those lower limit numbers is that the lines quote-unquote get pounded into shape. The books put up an opener, and then the market forces create what we call a tighter spread as the week progresses, even though you do see some wild moves in the hours before kickoff.
How often do you see trap lines?
No such thing. I mean, betting public usually gets confused when a superior team is a short road favorite. Because generally, when you see teams saying, people say that's a trap, it's the short road favorites teams. And those tend to be the squads because the home field is factored in, and all of you saying, no, New England's only laying 3 at whoever. or the Seahawks are only laying 4 against the Jets. Or, these are the type of numbers that the betting public gets a little bit confused by because the road favorites tend to be a notch or two lower than they expect them to be.
How about the books? They move in real ways off global numbers.
Well, I mean, there's very little flexibility for the bookmakers. I mean, once the global marketplace has established a number, the books don't have much wiggle room. Maybe a half point here, maybe a half point there. If they move off of the global number in any significant way, they're going to attract some sharp action. The only books, I should say, that move in real ways off the global market numbers are books with either A, very low limits, or B, books that routinely kick out sharp players. Those books, the Bovadas and the Sports Interactions, the William Hills of the world, they're going to jack up their prices and the favorites, and then the dog bettors that take advantage, they kick them out, and they don't need to worry about the sharp money coming in and taking the other side of those contests. The books really don't have a whole lot of flexibility when it comes to the global marketplace numbers and their ability to adjust. All they can do is cater to their own particular clienteles, and that means half point adjustments, not, the line's 3 over here and it's 7 over there. It just doesn't happen.
Yes, all right. Very good, Teddy. Usually we do something like that every Wednesday on the deep
One
dive.
last thing I want to talk about before we go. I want to talk about bell curve distribution.
Okay.
Allow me to give me 1 second to talk math here, because people are always like, how did the books get that right? Oh my God, the total was 71 and it landed 71, or the point spread was 42 and it landed at 41. I mean, how did they get that right? When you talk about a bell curve distribution, final scores are mathematically more likely to come near the point spread. If the bookmakers have done a good job in power rating the teams correctly, you're going to see a distribution that looks just like the curve that you're looking at on the screen right now when it comes to results. So it's not that the books are doing anything brilliant. It's not anything but basic mathematics that say the numbers are right. You're going to see more results that finish close to the point spread than results that finish far away from it.
Hey guys, for the full video, go to sbrpicks.com.
So we're giving you picks every day, and you're probably making your own as well. Be sure to participate in SBR's weekly Twitter Bankroll Challenge. Just post your picks on Twitter with @SBRSportsPicks and the hashtag BetSBR before 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every day, Monday through Friday. We'll be betting your picks, and if the bankroll is positive at the end of the week, you could win the profits. Picks must be of events taking place that day and available in at least one of the major sportsbooks shown in our Best Sportsbooks page.